My name's Alan Greyeyes, and I'm the festival director for the Sakihiwē Festival. This is the first panel of our Sakihiwē Music Mentors Conference, which is running August 24th to 30th, 2020. Today we've got a great panel. But before, oh, sorry, I've got some playback coming in, so I'm just gonna backtrack. The Sakihiwē Festival and our conference is broadcasting from Treaty 1 territory, the original lands of the Anishinaabe, the Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. This is all made possible by a grant from the Canada Council for the Arts, and so we'd like to acknowledge their financial support of our programming this week. We also have a great partnership with Studio 393, which is run by Graffiti Art Programming here in Winnipeg, and we've been working on with them for the last week, I guess the last couple of months, actually, maybe 3 or 4 months, to get things together and engage some young folks and get them involved in what we're doing as well. But yeah, let's. I'm going to ask each of our panelists today, maybe just go around the room and introduce yourselves. Who wants to start? Maybe Fawn?
Fawn Hello, everybody. My name is Fawn Wood, and I come to you from the Satellite Cree Nation up here in Treaty 6 territory. I'm also a singer and recording artist, and it's an honor to be here today amongst some fellow Pow Wow singers and mentors here, and I'm excited for today's panel. Hi.
Steve, you want to go next?
Steve Woodnian siga sonits kapu negutse. Moigets nagi gwea skaten magaya kape pasaguna manan maya enite namata go kistoa. Good afternoon to all of you, and welcome. My name is Steve Wood. I said a couple of things in Cree that I'm not going to translate. However, I'm glad to be here today. I'm 59 years old. I'm the leader and the founder of a group called Northern Cree. I'm also a school administrator for a school of about 400 students where we are starting today, and looking forward to possibly getting back into the full swing of things. I'm also looking forward to talking about these protocols in terms of licensing and copyrights. I think it's something that has to be looked at going forward. Welcome to all of our panelists today. Thank you for being with us. Alan, thank you for arranging this. And I hope this is informative for everyone. Thank you. Hi.
Delina, you want to go next?
Yes, hello, Danse, Nia Delina Trottier and Sigasun. We take us Kusio Sagai Ganutinia. Hello, everyone. My name is Delina Trottier. I'm from Onion Lake Cree Nation, and I'm very glad to be here today. It's a great topic to discuss, and I'm really excited to learn from a lot of people I look up to, and also learn from each other and share some knowledge of what I guess I would know, but I feel like I'm pretty new to this and just really excited, and hope you guys all enjoy. So thank you. Thank you for the invite, Alan.
Oh, thank you. Kimberly.
Okay, Kimberly Indigenous Kasnan, Jignakwik Dutse. Natego Buke, Nationabin Muzuin, Minandan Mano, Megui, Wajmawan, Jibian Matauzian Genin. Hello, everybody. My name is Kimberly. I'm from Jignakwik, the Algonquins of Area Lake, and I'm very thankful to be asked to be a part of this panel today. I'm a bit nervous. It's very new to me.
Yeah, this is a great first step for the music industry in general. I think like the Pow Wow community is such a big movement across Turtle Island, and yeah, more of the music industry in Canada needs to take notice. And I think we're going to have an opportunity today to take some first steps. I also want to note that we've got closed captioning running in the Zoom webinar. I'm not too sure if it's happening for YouTube and Facebook broadcast, but it's really cute. Like when we're doing our traditional introductions, the closed captioning just says "speaks Indigenous," which is really cool. I also want to say that unfortunately Gabe Gaudette was feeling sick today and he won't be able to join us, but hopefully Terry Paskman can join us. I think he was just having some technical difficulties. So yeah, like today we're going to get into a great discussion. We're going to first talk about like the use of Pow Wow vocals, instrumentation, songs in contemporary or pop music. Then we're going to talk about the value of copyright. And so I think like for me, I've been in the music industry on the business side, I think for 15 years now, and I still don't know all the copyrights that are involved, how to manage them, how to monetize them. And so I think like we're going to talk a bit about that. We're going to talk a bit about the value of those copyrights. And with the premise being that, you know, everything in music industry is negotiable. And so you can give stuff away for large amounts of money. You can sign it off for small amounts or in exchange for services or support. So there's everything negotiable. And then we're going to talk a bit about grants. And I don't think there's not enough folks in the Pow Wow community are accessing the great support that's available through our public funders. And so we're going to talk a bit about those programs later on in the conversation. And so I just wanted to maybe start off by opening up the room and just saying like, what are some examples of songs that you've heard that sound really great? Like there's been a great collaboration, or maybe a DJ or an artist, a singer-songwriter has sampled previously recorded works that you folks thought was really great. Delina, did you want to go first maybe?
I'm not sure on like specific names, but I feel like there's a lot of great DJs who are really good with, especially Native American or Indigenous DJs who know the tempo of drumming and the music. I think they're able to better incorporate Pow Wow music in a way that highlights it. I think Northern Cree has a lot of good features on certain DJs. I'm trying to think of the name off the head, but I know how they sound, but there's that. And I think a lot of like Fawn's album with the piano and all that stuff just introduced like a new like segment or a new like sub way to like better, I guess, modernizing the music, but in a way that and highlights how compatible it could be, I guess, to non-Indigenous people as well. It sparks the interest to be like, okay, who is this group? Wow, like there's an Indigenous or Native group. I want to find out who they are. I want to find out where they're from. So I think some people are really good at highlighting those vocals and the drumming, and I think that's pretty awesome, you know. So yeah.
Kimberly, what about yourself? Do you have any examples?
The only one that I really know of is Tribe Called Red. Red. They worked at Black Bear with a few songs. It's pretty much the only one that I know. I'm not really familiar with collaborations and stuff like that. Just the only one I know of.
Were you a part of those recording sessions?
Yeah.
How did it work?
Well, they just took songs from the CD. We weren't actually like right there.
Oh, okay.
They just took like samples from the CD and then they incorporated it into their album.
Yeah. Is there like parts of the song that make sense to sample, or is it like, have you heard songs that maybe they've sampled the part that doesn't make sense because it's so short?
They didn't, from the ones that they took, they didn't really take words. They just, how do you say that? The beat. They just took the beat from the song. They didn't incorporate any words from the songs that they used from Black Bear.
And Steve, what's been your experience with samples, and has it been positive or?
Well, I think like the sampling has been going on for a while. Just more recently has recognition been given to the people that their music is being sampled. That recognition is just starting to come about, because I know way back when in I can't remember, might be in the early 80s, we had a hip hop artist that sampled one of our songs that we knew nothing about. Later on, we found out, and she went on to win a Grammy with that song, and that musician's name was MIA. I think one of the best ones that I've listened to, and there's been a few. One is done with A Tribe Called Red and Bear Creek. We utilized that song when we did the opening of the Rogers Center here in Edmonton. A very powerful song with proper recognition given to the drum group that was sampled. And of course, like was mentioned by Kimberly, Black Bear has had some of their music sampled by A Tribe Called Red, and our group Northern Cree has as well. We've worked with DJ Shub on samples of our music, and Shub's done the right thing by going through the proper channels and giving proper recognition and compensation to the traditional artists that he's working with. And I believe that should happen in all aspects if mainstream artists are sampling music. One of the people, and kudos to these people that, to our people, First Nations people that are going out and discovering different genres of music and being the best that they can be in it. I mean, people like PJ Vegas, Pat Vegas, Robbie Robertson, all of those people. I mean, last year we had a chance to do a little bit of a collaboration with PJ and Pat, and that was amazing, because like the music was all live. I think it can be done. I think it can be put on a stage together in collaboration, just doing it in a proper fashion and giving acknowledgement to the people that should be acknowledged for creating that very specific and wonderful creation. But I know there's a lot of artists out there, not just First Nations artists, but mainstream artists that are looking at our traditional First Nations music to incorporate in their songs. I think it brings a very unique sound and a different type of sound to the songs that they're creating. Thank you.
There's a lot of follow-up questions I have for you, but we'll get to Fawn. What are some examples of collaborations or samples that you thought sounded really great?
I think like what everybody mentioned already, one of the kind of pioneers when it came to bringing our traditional kind of music to a wider audience again. I guess it does go to the DJs. My Uncle Steve had mentioned DJ Shub too. He's been doing it in a really respectful manner and really bringing into consideration the I guess you would call the protocols of using music like this. As well as A Tribe Called Red, a lot of people recognize their music, and they had sampled a lot of Pow Wow music from different groups. And I wanted to touch a little bit on what Delina said about how our own Indigenous DJs are kind of bringing to life these music. Like some more people to mention, I think would be like DJ Boogie the Beat out of Winnipeg there. He has some amazing samples that he uses, and I know he has some other works coming out. But when it comes to sampling and music, as an artist too, I really appreciate it too when the people who are utilizing this music to create their own kind of music or to kind of incorporate it. I really appreciate too when they do give that recognition and that proper that proper treatment of the music to the artists and these people, because a lot of people, this is their first time hearing this style of music is through these sampled songs. They haven't heard indigenous music or powwow music or round dance music, and this is the first time. And sometimes that leads to them looking deeper into that genre. So I believe it's really important too for people when they do sample this, indigenous or non-indigenous, that they really take it up with the people who are creating this music for them to mix and share. And that's something I really appreciate.
So yeah, we've talked a bit about sampling, but also want to talk about collaboration. And we've also mentioned proper protocols. Are there like some protocols that you would like contemporary artists or DJs to follow before you get into the studio, or before you start working on some sort of agreement or fee for the use of your music? Should they pass tobacco? Should they be doing other things to try to before you get to that next step?
Oh, all right, me?
Sure, yeah, yeah.
I'll go. Oh yeah, I think that's good. I think a lot of like it is appreciated when people do stuff like that. But even just approaching and making it aware to the people who originally do this music, making them aware that they're going to be using it and asking for them, because sometimes some of these songs, I don't know if it's some of these songs, I guess, have a really special meaning to them. And most music, it can be sampled and stuff like that. But I think it's important for them to go and inquire about the song or the use of music with the actual artists or groups beforehand, before they and you know, I think a lot of people already have that. It's kind of like common knowledge. But yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think finding out what the significance of the song is really important. Like, you don't want, are there maybe, Fawn, back to you, is there an example of a song that wouldn't work in a nightclub that you wouldn't want to hear sampled by like a DJ who's working around like nightclubs where there's alcohol, that kind of stuff?
You know, I think as music creators and as traditional artists, we do have some of those songs that are meant to like honor people or are meant to highlight certain kind of special moments. And some songs do have special meanings towards them. There are some like prayerful songs or things like that, and stuff like that. I don't think are I guess you wouldn't typically want to see them in a place like that. Say our honor songs or songs that have those special meanings and there's certain places and times, I guess, for that. So that's another reason why I believe it's important for a good communication between the collaborator and the other artists to kind of talk, as well as whoever may be behind in like the record company or anything like that. It's good to have a real clear, open flow kind of communication when you're thinking about working with somebody.
Oh, that's a great point. I think that's yeah, definitely a step that is often missed, is the personal communication between the artists who are sampling and the artists who have recorded. To your like reaching out to Fawn if you want to use one of her songs, I think would be a great first step. Steve or Kimberly or Delina, do you have are there any protocols that you would like people to follow before approaching the sampling phase or the collaboration phase? Delina, let's go to you.
I was like, go ahead, Steve. Just kidding. But I'm just saying that because like as like being a backup singer for a young spirit, it's rarely ever that they would approach the backup singer. I don't want to just count myself that, but I think it's just like Fawn said, common sense to go to the original maker or the people, the lead singer of the drum group, or the lead singers, and approach them in a way that, you know, you want to respect them and respect the song and what they do. And tobacco and all that stuff is just, I think in our community, the POW community, that's just like something you learn early. and something you want to share with other people if they're gonna want to utilize the music or bring it into their realm of music. But I think it's just very nice to go about it that way. But yeah, I just feel like even just an email, just kidding. But I'm rarely approached in that situation for Young Spirit. Personally, I do get an email, a phone call, and that's just always just really good to be acknowledged and to be considered and thought of. That's just really, it's really kind for people to go out of their way to do that and to acknowledge the person and ask and be very formal about it if you could, but yeah.
And for reaching out to you folks, do you guys have information available publicly on a website or something, or what's the best way to reach out? Back to you, Delina.
For myself, like I said, with Young Spirit, we do have social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram. I'm sure Jacob, he does have certain means of contacting. He has his business cards, and a lot of time we do point anything to Jacob and just I let them to know to ask him, and he'll arrange that for all of us, which we're very fortunate. We have someone to arrange that, but yeah, I think yeah, sorry, forgot the question for a moment, but yeah.
What about you, Steve and Kimberly? Are there protocols that you'd like to see followed before somebody gets to the recording process or the sampling process or phase? Sorry, Kimberly.
I mean, pretty much everything was said. I think it would be the best way to probably just approach the lead singer to see if it's okay to use the songs, if it's okay to incorporate the songs into their work, and just to approach. I think it'd be nice to approach them with some sema or something like that. And I think
that's good. That's good. Steve, what about yourself?
Okay, I actually let the ladies go for it first because my wife texted me and she said, let the ladies speak. So I thought, okay, if the wife is telling me that, I have to do that. Anyway, I totally agree with all of the ladies. Something I want to reiterate, as the ladies have said, there's something that's prevalent within our culture, and it's, I would say, for lack of a better term, pan-powwowized. Is we have a few things that are similar in all of our circles across North America in the Pow circle. And one of them that's stagnant is tistemau. Kimberly related to it, and Fawn and Delina. The use of tobacco is very prevalent within our First Nations cultures. And it's an item that is related to respectfulness, to have respect. So as the ladies mentioned, the best way to go about it is to approach that drum group or that individual song maker with a little bit of just even a cigarette, and perhaps talk to that drum group or that individual about possibly sampling their music, and also questioning, because I know this from the elders I work with. You should always question where the song came from. What is the song used for? And cite where you got your information from. That's why I told you, what I'm telling you right now. I got that information from the elder that I work with. His name is Marvin Littlechild. And he tells me to go ahead and use my name when you cite, because you should cite where your information came from. It's part of our oral tradition. And saying that if you're going to, basically just that very little small protocol of chistema first, an offering to the mistigwaskik, the drum, mistigwaskik atzak, to that spirit. And in that, you might just hit something that you didn't even know you were going to hit with that spiritual content within it. Like you might hit something that is just totally amazing because you went and did the right things. It's like that within life in general. When you do something proper in the right way, things go right in your life. It's just a common thing. And I believe like if you follow those principles, even with music, that music will turn out wonderful. It's I think it's the right way to go. And as I said before, to acknowledge where you got that song from, where you got that little snippet from, what changed your music, to acknowledge that song and that song maker or that group or that tribe, that language. I believe that is important. I'm just going to mention about that protocol about sistema, always first, more important than money. If you want things to go right in our traditional circles, that is always used along with prayer, etc. That's about all I can say.
Yeah, that's a beautiful reminder that music is more than money. And I think like I've been on the business side for a long time, and I often forget that, this stuff, like music says things that oftentimes we can't find in language. And like you were saying, Steve, like following this protocol and showing respect is definitely gonna, create magic, create stuff that we can't do on our own. And so yeah, thank you for that. That was really wonderful. That was a wonderful reminder. I think this also kind of transitions nicely into the copyright, because what we're also seeing is that like Steve said, citing your sources, giving people credit. This is where the royalties come into play. And so the main royalties will go to the master owner. And once you record a song, it creates a master. And so that master has value. The other part is the songwriting credit and the publishing rights. And so whoever wrote the song or composed the song, and it can be multiple people, it could be a whole drum group, it could be one person that gets credit, and they can have the songwriting and the publishing. If you don't have a publishing agreement, the publishing rights go to the songwriters immediately. And then the other thing, the big royalty that a lot of Indigenous artists are seeing because of the Canadian Indigenous Peoples Radio channel on Sirius XM, they're seeing a lot of money coming in for the feature performer royalty. And so like when a Tribe Called Red sampled Northern Cree, it says, I think it often says Redskin Girl featuring Northern Cree. I think that's one of their songs. And so since Northern Cree is a featured performer, they automatically get 50% of the feature performer royalty. And so let's say, for an example, it plays on Sirius XM for like 2 or 3 months, and $10,000 of royalties was paid out to the feature performer. Then Northern Cree, if you're registered with MROC or Sound Exchange, I think there's a couple other options, then Northern Cree would get paid that $5,000, their share of the feature performer royalty. And so again, that's the importance of citing your sources. And yeah, so it's one of the things that I think like all of us need to be aware of is the beauty and the protocols are extremely important. And then also having the artists properly register that work, citing their sources is really important too. Did you guys have experience registering works in the past, or have you worked with people who have done that for your drums or the music you've created? Maybe Fawn?
I just recently, I think within this past year, I was able to kind of register with Sound Exchange. And I didn't even know that was there for a while until recently. And I think that's important, especially for our like our traditional recording artists to be aware of these things, because I don't think a lot of them are educated on these different revenues of royalties. And just recently, I started the process for SOCAN. And speaking of collaborations, I didn't know that even with that, I did a collaboration with a relative of mine from BC, Inez. And she was the one who actually kind of pushed me to register with that. She said that there was, there's, so you make sure you register so you can get, your part of the royalty for the song we did. And I think a lot of it is just one important thing that we need to do, especially within our community and our genre, is kind of educate each other on registering for these things, because there is compensation there for songs being used or being played on radio and stuff like that. And I just recently started getting into that, but I'm familiar with Sound Exchange and SOCAN, and ever since I've kind of tapped into that, I've been encouraging and helping other people kind of register that, because like you said, there's compensation there for songwriters as well. So even if somebody else had recorded a song that you composed, there's a little bit of something there for you too. So that was my experience with it recently.
Yeah, that's great. And I think, like, especially if you're playing, like, say if you did, you performed a song for 50,000 people at one of the stadiums or hockey arenas, the SOCAN collects 3% of the ticket revenue. And so 3% of maybe made $1 million in ticket revenue. I'm just going to round it out to a round number like that. That's 3% of $1 million, whatever that is. And that goes to the songwriters and publishers for the works that were performed. But like you said, like in Canada, SOCAN is where you register your works for public performance and for radio play. And then again, MROC and Sound Exchange are good for the Sirius XM, which is the bigger one in terms of royalty payments. We've got a couple folks just chiming in here on the chat. Ali Stony Point is just mentioning that she's a drum carrier, Red Road Women Drum Group, and she's just really appreciative looking at this as a business as well. The drum groups and the hand drum singers, and I mean, there's a lot of work to do on the business end. And I think Steve, your experience has been a little different. You've worked with Canyon, and they've handled a lot of that for you in the past. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be correct. Like all of our previous albums are recorded with Canyon. We haven't recorded with anyone else, basically with Canyon, and they took care of it with SOCAN. We just actually found out about Sound Exchange, and we've registered with them. But I would like to tell all of the traditional musicians out there that you should register with SOCAN and Sound Exchange, because there might be something there for you. And it just sits there. You should really check into it. If you have any music out there that you've recorded and it's possibly been played on any radio stations, I would encourage you to check into SOCAN or Sound Exchange and check to see if there is anything there for you. I think we've missed a lot. I think we've missed a heck of a lot, and I think we're just catching on now. And it's a good thing for us to be catching on. I think when I look at powwow and round dance music, yes, there is always the spirituality component behind our traditional instrument, our percussion instrument, mistigwaskik, the drum. There is the spiritual aspect behind it. Yes, always. In any type of music, there's some kind of spirituality, as I alluded to before. However, like when I look at powwow and round dance, I separate it from all of our other ceremonies where we have percussion instruments and singing. I separate it because I see two different things. At all of our other ceremonies, there's one thing that's stagnant, that makes it different from powwow and round dance. And that is the bleachers and the amount of spectators in the circle, which we do not have in our other ceremonies. We may have supporters for the people involved in the ceremonies, but we don't have huge crowds of spectators. I believe that powwow and round dance music is aligned more closely to our version of social music, if you will, and bringing our people together. I mean, there are no other ceremonies that people say, the young people say, I'm gonna go use terms like, I'm going over to the powwow and I hope to meet my snag, which is my girlfriend or my boyfriend. And basically for powwows and round dance, it's our social event. And I think when I hear like young people picking up the drum or the drumstick and expressing themselves with our music, it just fills my heart. And I think like, I want young people to think that I can be myself. I don't have to be anybody else. I don't have to emulate anything else or any kind of music. We got our own music and I can aspire to great things with it. I want them to think that. I want them to know that they can. And I think this is it. I used to dream about it as a kid. I thought, we can put this music on a stage just like anything else. We can do this and we can make it into a concert. And it can be just as energetic as anything else. And I know it can be done. And I want, I hope to be a part of opening those doors for young people, young First Nations people, and other people that want to take up our genre of music. Because that's what it is. It's our music. It originated with us. And taking nothing away from any artist, like I said, all the more power to our people that take up other genres of music, the piano, the guitar, and they can aspire to those genres of music. Awesome. That is awesome. But I think like when I talk about Indigenous music, when I hear Indigenous music, that's our music. It originated with us. The instruments, they didn't come from somewhere else. They originated with us. And again, taking nothing away from our First Nations people that wish to take up the fiddle, the guitar, the piano, all the more power to them. Awesome. And I'm all for collaborating with them. I want to collaborate with our First Nations musicians first, but I also want to get our music out to the world. It's just starting. For us, like we grew up with it, all of us. But like Fawn alluded to earlier, there's so many people out there that it's their first time when they get a little sample of it, when it's been sampled in some hip hop or rock or anything. It's their first taste of it, and they seek more. And I think like our music, it's just getting out to the world. It is. And we got something to share. We really do. We really got something to share with the people. And we just keep working at it. And I just think with these three ladies and all the other young musicians, native musicians out there, big things are going to happen. We're coming out and this is going to happen. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was wonderful. Kimberly and Delina, do you have experience with registering your copyrights too?
I personally do not. Like I said, I was really fortunate to work with people who are like already doing all that, and I just kind of showed up. Just kidding. But Jacob always takes care of that for us, and Canyon Records, like you said, Steve, they really are really helpful, and I think they wanted good things for the people they work with, the Native American artists, which I think is really awesome to have that, people who understand the music and what we want to do with the music. And that's what Steve said. It's just starting to be shown and known to the world. And I personally, even prior to singing with Young Spirit, I got a chance to work on the Ladies Night Volume 2. So now I'm wondering, I'm like, man, like I really am just learning about this SoCan and Sound Exchange. and even talked about recording with people, solo stuff. So I'm like, wow, I'm so happy to learn about this stuff because I've never heard about a lot of it, even just getting royalties for radio play and things like that. I think that's really good to know. So I just want to thank everyone for sharing that. And I think this is really important. I think there was even comments for people who are going to be doing performances soon. So they're even like not even just becoming aware of this information. So I think as Indigenous people, Native people, we need to share that. Like Fawn was saying, sharing is the best way we could do for each other and help each other grow and help our music grow and get recognition that it deserves, especially if we're going out into mainstream music. We deserve that recognition. A lot of people worked hard to get to where they are, and I think it's really good to acknowledge that. So I'm really happy to hear a lot of this, and thank you guys for sharing, and I'm happy to learn more. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Kimberly, what about you? Do you handle any of the copyright stuff, or have you registered with SOCAN or Sound Exchange for Black Bear at all?
Well, as a member of Black Bear, we just make music to make music. But this is a really learning experience for me. And I will definitely pass it on to the Black Bear family. All our albums were recorded independently. But I know they were approached by Canyon Record at one point. SOCAN Sound Exchange, this is like something that they can look into in the future.
Yeah, I think like Black Bear really should register with Sound Exchange or MROC soon. The money, like Steve was saying, the money just sits there and waits for you. But since you've been, like Black Bear has been listed as a collaborator or a featured performer on A Tribe Called Red's music in the past. And so there's definitely money, probably a lot of money waiting for them at Sound Exchange. And so I think as a drum group, what needs to be decided is, does the drum group just share that money? Like, do you want to set up a business and then the money that comes in goes into that business account and then everyone gets paid out a dividend from there? I think that's one step that you need to take as a group, because like I said, I've heard songs that featured Black Bear in a lot of radio programs, on music videos, television shows. So I mean, there's a lot of money waiting for Black Bear, and so I think, like I said, the first step is figuring out how you guys split that up as a group, and the same goes with Northern Cree. Like I remember some of the songwriting credits from Northern Cree from Canyon Records, and seeing like one individual listed. Like I think there was a couple that DJ Shub did, and Conan Yellowbird, I think, was listed as the songwriter or composer. And so I think that's another decision that you have to make once you create the music, figuring out who gets the songwriting credit and how the business kind of is set up so everyone gets paid like a fair amount of money from any royalties that come in. Because like I said, like with Sound Exchange and MROC through SiriusXM, it's potentially tens of thousands of dollars. And with SOCAN, it might be just as much, because if A Tribe Called Red is doing like sold out shows in large venues around Canada, there's SOCAN royalties being collected on your behalf. Steve has his hand up. I just saw that. We'll go to Steve.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something. I'm wondering about how long that money sits there. I would urge all of the groups and the singers, the individual, to check into it as quickly as possible, because I'm not too sure how long it sits there and what happens to it after. Okay, I would encourage you, if you're going to check into it and you've had music out there, check into it as quickly as possible. I think again, there's probably a lot like what you mentioned. I've heard Black Bear songs I've heard Bear Creek songs and different stuff. I've heard Young Spirit songs. I've heard Cree Confederation. I've heard Blackstone all kinds of stuff. And I'm wondering, like, that's what I wonder. I wonder if they've been compensated properly, if someone has reached out to them, etc. And saying that, it might be on the onus of the drum group or the individual artists to seek that. All right, but I would urge everyone to do it as quickly as possible. And again, like we talked about, it's not so much about the money. Okay, it's not so much about the money, you know, but giving an opportunity to get our music. Part of it is the music helps with a number of things in terms of people. They might hear the music, but they can't really identify the people. And after, they might just seek to understand who the people are behind the music, and a little bit further. So people are it's a music is a tool that can be used to extend our identity as First Nations people beyond our borders, and that's important. That's the most important thing, and making sure that we are recognized today and beyond with our languages, our cultures, our beautiful music, everything. Thank you.
Oh. What about you, Fawn? Have you, so you mentioned you've registered with Sound Exchange recently, you've done SOCAN. Are there other places that you've registered your work? Like, honestly, I don't know all of them. And I'm also guessing that, like, since you've recorded with Canyon, they probably own the master. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was the thing. And it was actually through Canyon that I found my way. And my uncle Randy too, he told me to really look into Sound Exchange. And I didn't even know things like this were out there. But I think Canyon is still, they have yet to help me kind of register my stuff with SOCAN, but they were the ones who urged me to. And like everybody had said, a few of us have been working with Canyon already, and they did a lot of that work for us, which is great to be able to work with people that help artists like ourselves. But as that I didn't even know anything about these avenues of revenue from this kind of stuff until it was kind of just mentioned to me. And then after I registered for SOCAN, I even got my partner, who he's the lead singer for Creek and Federation. He started registering with these stuff too, and we didn't know. And that helps, like knowing or receiving even just a little bit of this revenue like that. It helps with our groups, even with merchandise to sell, or with albums to purchase to sell, or like travel and stuff like that. So I think it's a good avenue to take for groups and traditional singers to go, because it helps it helps to keep spreading your music too, to be able to travel and share like that. And I just want to encourage anybody and everybody who has been a song maker or who has recorded music and to look into this stuff, because it's not, I know SOCAN's for Canada, but there is other places even within the US. If you're a US artist, there's places down there for you to look into too, because Sound Exchange, it's for both. I think that's another thing too. It's for people in both countries or everywhere like that. And signing up is actually, it was a pretty easy process. It's not as complicated as everybody may think it is, but they even have like a hotline where they can walk you over it over the phone. And that really helped, because I was really new to this. I started recording music maybe about within the past 10 years. And I just started learning about this now. So again, it's out there, and I hope everybody takes up that this encouragement to look into that as a song maker or as a performer or a singer. It's a good thing to look into.
Yeah, and I'll just note that Sound Exchange is a US company, but as a Canadian artist or an artist in Canada, you can register your works with them as well. There is a specific treaty to quote to not have withholding tax taken away from your checks. And so royalties collected are exempt from the withholding tax in the US, which can be quite expensive. I think it's like close to 30%, maybe 25 to 30% is what they keep as withholding tax for any performances by artists from outside the US. And so, yeah, when you're doing your, I think it's called the W8BEN with Sound Exchange, you do have to quote that one treaty, and it'll make sure that your payments from Sound Exchange aren't, they don't take the withholding tax from it. But again, if you wanted to register your works with MROC, they do a similar job for artists in Canada, and they pay out in Canadian funds. I wanted to talk a bit about the synchronization licensing, and then we have a question from Melody McIver we're going to get to. And so, like, again, copyrights, the main ones are the master recording and the songwriting and the publishing. And so synchronization licensing, it comes in play when a movie or a television show wants to use your music in their programming, in their broadcast. And so, like, if you've done work with, maybe it's a song. I remember A Tribe Called Red had one song in an Apple commercial. And if maybe they had sampled Northern Cree in that song, then you guys would get a cut of the licensing fees that came from Apple. So, and that's just an example. I don't remember what song it was or who the featured drum group was in that song, but it's something that you as an artist, as the master owner, and as the songwriter or publisher, you would get a cut of that synchronization license. And usually what happens is that 50% will go to the master. So if it's let's say a $10,000 fee, $5,000 would go to the master owner, and then $5,000 would go to the songwriting and publishing. And so it's another reason to keep track of your copyrights, and another also reason to maybe, if you have the financial capacity like Black Bear, and you can record your music independently, then again, owning your master is where it's going to pay off in synchronization licensing or the use of sampling. That being said, like a label or a publisher, they do bring admin support and experience and contracting experience to the table. And so if you're not ready to take on that kind of role for synchronization licensing or sampling, clearing samples, then having a label or a publisher on board is definitely really helpful. But I'm guessing, like with Black Bear, when A Tribe Called Red approached them, they were really respectful and hopefully walked you guys through the process of what's happening and how to register your works and where the money's going to be made. Because like I said, your copyrights are very valuable, and they might even bring in more money than you're going to make on the actual sale of CDs at Pow Wows. So again, just something to take note of. So we're going to jump to Melody McIver's question. She wanted to ask your thoughts on ethics with arrangements rather than recorded samples. And so she knows that Steve and Northern Cree have worked with a number of classical composers over the years, and Melody, they would be interested in hearing your thoughts about this experience.
Melody. My group has had some experiences working with ensembles such as the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, and with the same focus, the same thing, like having a respectful conversation about utilizing the music, words to be used, talking about royalties if there's any videotaping or anything like that beforehand. Having all of that on paper before the actual presentation, making sure that is all in order. I would suggest that to you. And that's something that we tried to do before we stepped into that circle to do that work with the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, along with a few other ensembles. We try to do that now. To begin with, we had no idea when we first started out, but as we've worked, we've been around for a while, we've caught on to little things like some of the things that Alan has mentioned about masters, trying to retain, and I'm gonna mention that to my colleagues. Something that I've been thinking about is like, we've worked with a record label, and they've been very, very nice to us. I have nothing negative to say. I think they've helped with promoting our music and promoting Northern Cree and all of the other artists as well. But I get to thinking about that master copy and what Alan has alluded to, and we've relinquished all of those rights to the master copy, and it brings me back that going forward, I'm when I sit or when we sit together with whoever we're working with, we'll be talking about that master copy, and we'd like to retain some of the rights to the master copy. We don't want to give it up 100%. And it took me a while to understand this. Now I understand it a little bit more. Again, like, when we talk about powwow and round dance music, it is our social music. And, if we're going to be putting ourselves out there, I think we should be compensated. And because you're the people making the music. I think it's only right. And in other genres of music, that's what happens. And I'm glad that we're talking about this and we're bringing this to light. Going forward, again, when I sit down and I talk about those, we're going to do a recording of any kind. We're going to talk about the master and about how much is retained by our own group over a long period of time. I would urge all other artists to do the same thing. Thank you, Alan.
And I think like Melody was just asking also, I think what Melanie was trying to ask about was like, are there protocols for approaching you folks for arrangements, which is like the creation of original music? Is it similar to what you would suspect with, or what you would like with a sampling case or a collaboration case? Is just, again, respect, showing respect to the spirit of the drum, and passing tobacco where possible. Is that correct? I think everyone's nodding yes, so that's good. I hope we answered the question, Melody. If not, then feel free to follow up. And so, yeah, we're talking a bit about the copyrights and the money, and I think like some interesting things to note, and I'm just learning about these things too, is that there's a difference between a recording contract and I'm going to use my hands again, a recording contract and a licensing agreement. And so I think recording is like when the label is involved in paying for the studio time and additional costs and mixing and mastering and stuff like that. Then I think that's more of a recording contract. But if you create the album on your own, you record it, you get it mixed and mastered on your own, and you do all the artwork, and then they license it, which means that they get to use it and help you market it and exploit it, like sell it, then it's a licensing agreement. And I think in a licensing agreement, you can have those percentages where, let's see, if Black Bear was to license their next album to me, we could negotiate like maybe Black Bear gets 50% of the royalties that come in, or 50% of the synchronization licensing money that comes in, and then I take 50%. So in a licensing agreement, I think there's more room to negotiate. I don't know all the details for a recording contract, if you can negotiate those percentages or not, but it's definitely something that I always like going to lawyers for, those types of advice, or that type of advice. And I think like anytime you're signing an agreement in the music industry, it's a good idea to have a lawyer if you don't fully understand it, or if you don't, if it's a performance and you have a booking agent and they kind of understand and they negotiate, then I don't know if you need a lawyer in that case. But if you are being asked to sign agreements for your masters or your publishing or anything else, then it's a good idea to approach a lawyer. And I think like what we can do today is also just kind of use this as our, like all of us panelists here are connected by email. And so if you folks have questions, follow-up questions too, feel free to reach out to me by email, and I can try and recommend and connect you with lawyers that can take a look at your agreements. I think that lawyer bills are usually about $250 an hour. So that's kind of the expenses that you're looking at, a kind of ballpark figure for somebody to review contracts on your behalf. But again, I think it's a good investment if you can make it, the investment in lawyer time, because it can potentially lead to tens of thousands of dollars in royalties or synchronization licensing afterwards, especially if you believe in your art. But yeah, let's any questions about that from the group, or any follow-up comments that you folks want to make? No, we're good. So let's talk about grants now. Have any of you accessed grants before for music or travel or anything? Maybe Kimberly. Kimberly, did you guys get grants to go to the Junos a couple years ago?
I don't even remember if we did. I know everything was paid for, like our meals and our rooms and travel. Everything was paid for, but I'm not sure where it was from.
Okay. And what about the recording costs? Where did you put the money together? Where did the money come from for the recording?
And it's lagging.
Where did you get the money for recording?
Sorry, can you repeat that? It's
yeah. Where
can
did
you
the money
repeat
come
that?
from? Yeah. Sorry. Where did the money come from? How did you guys pay for Black Bear's albums?
It came out of our Black Bear's pocket.
Oh, okay.
Fundraising, and if, they put, like, if we place at a Pow, they would just put it aside and then,
nice.
use it to make a new CD.
Yeah, because and what about you, Delina? Have you done any grants in the past?
No, not that I'm familiar with or aware of. It's going to be new to me, so I'm pretty excited to learn this too. But my thing is, I'm just wondering, is there certain documentation you do need to say to register with Sound Exchange or SOCAN to register your group or yourself? Is there certain documentation you need to prove that it exists or that you're the actual group, I guess? You know what I mean?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to submit songwriting agreements or recording contracts or anything like that. What you do need to is complete an Excel file that identifies the song title, where it was recorded, the artist name, and then the splits, so the featured performers, and then you make a claim for like your percentage of the master. So you can claim that you own 100%, or you can claim that you own a smaller percentage. And if there is a dispute in their system, then the funds get frozen until you provide that documentation that proves that you own that percentage. So again, like, unless there's a claim against your master or your album, then they'll just send you the money. And again, it's important to have the song titles, to have all those kind of splits or percentages worked out ahead of time. And then, yeah, it's not a difficult process like Fawn was saying, but it is a bit of admin work, and it does require some knowledge of like Excel and yeah, and access to the internet, which again, it's not like, not everyone has that. Not everyone has a laptop. Not everyone can, like, a lot of people are working on phones too. So I think like that's where the barrier is when you have to fill out those forms and have access to more technology. What about you, Fawn? Have you done any grants?
I just started looking into Canada Council for the Arts. They have a lot of good like grants for Indigenous artists there. And what brought me to that was going to school. We were planning a trip, and I started scrolling on there for different grants. But as I was scrolling, I seen that they have a lot to offer for music or even like language revitalization, and a lot of that ties into our music too, and travel, and they have some specifically on there for Indigenous performers, whether you're a group or a solo artist. Grants on there just to kind of help get your music out. And that was one place that I've been looking into. I've actually applied for one just recently. I haven't heard back yet, but hopefully I get it.
Nice. What about you, Steve? Have you folks applied for grants in the past?
I'm going to say we've never applied ourselves, but other agencies have applied for us. In one case, when we went overseas to open for the Tragically Hip in London, that came from a grant, and it was applied by the Alberta Council for the Arts. I do know now, looking at those grants, Alan, there is all types of grants that we can seek. As Fawn said, grants for language revitalization, grants for travel, grants for powwow groups to travel. That's the first time I've seen that, and no one has tapped into this. There has been very little tap into this grant. I would suggest that anyone out there that has a powwow group, look into this. It could help you with your travels over the summer. I'm gonna have a look at it, look into it a little bit further. But I know that there's all kinds of grants out there, and we really should be utilizing these opportunities to the fullest extent. And I think it's just getting it out there, getting people aware. Just as Delina said earlier, she wasn't aware so much about SOCAN, Sound Exchange. Like all of us, we're not familiar really with the grants. We're just starting to find out about it. But how many more of our people within the powwow circles, the Canadian powwow circles, know nothing about it? This is a great venue for us to give that information out. And I'm gonna reiterate, please look into those grants with all of our panel and everyone out there, myself included. We should be taking advantage of these opportunities. Thank you.
Yeah, we have a question on what are the grants, what are the names and the websites and stuff like that. I'm going to say that the Canada Council for the Arts is the main one for Indigenous artists in Canada. They have their Indigenous program is called Creating, Knowing and Sharing, and it's canadacouncil.ca. And they have short-term projects is for anything that's up to a year. And it's a maximum of $100,000 for an individual or a group. So in theory, Northern Cree could access up to $100,000 to record their next album from the Canada Council. The travel grants are up to $30,000. So again, that's enough money for a couple of trips by a drum group. I think you can do up to 2 trips a year. And it could be for, say, if you're hosting at Indio, California, then you could apply for the flights and accommodations and meals. And if you need to rent some ground transportation, like some rental vehicles, you could do that as well. Or if Black Bear was going over to perform in France or over to even Tokyo, you could definitely apply for the travel grants to cover those flights. The thing is that for travel, it usually takes it can be up to 3 months for them to get you an answer. And so it's a good idea to apply like 6 months in advance at the least, I would say, before your trip, so that you get the grant results 3 months before your actual trip, and then you can buy flights at a reasonable rate. Because if you wait till the last minute, you might have to like spend all the money without knowing if you're going to get that grant or not, which just is really stressful for everyone. It usually takes Canada Council 3 to 4 months to get you results for any of the short-term projects. So if you apply, the next deadline is September 23rd for creating, knowing, and sharing. If you apply September, I think you get the answers in February. So it's a good idea to start projects on that timeline. Start your projects maybe in end of March, beginning of April, instead of hoping for February start dates. But yeah, Canada Council is the main one. I'd say there's great support in Alberta as well. The Alberta Foundation for the Arts is really great. Edmonton Arts Council. I think there's the Calgary Arts Council as well. Quebec definitely has a lot of public support for music and the arts as well. And so it's, and in Manitoba, we have the Manitoba Arts Council, we have the Winnipeg Arts Council, We also have Manitoba Film and Music for business related stuff. And I think they're really, the difference there is that you have to have business outcomes and oftentimes include a marketing plan with your recording project. Whereas if you did a grant to an application to the Canada Council that's for a recording project, you don't actually have to submit a marketing plan with that. It will just be about the arts. That's why I like the Canada Council so much more. Again, I just encourage you all to take the first step and create a profile on their website. And it means sitting down with all the members of the drum group and getting their artistic CVs written. And that's just like a list of the recordings you've all done together, any training, any awards, that kind of stuff. Melody's noted that Ontario has great support provincially too. She just reviewed over 180 music grants. Wow, that's crazy. And only two Indigenous folks applied. So like, I mean, I think as a community, like a pan-Indigenous community, I think a lot of us aren't as admin savvy and great at writing as our Canadian counterparts are. But I think those agencies definitely are interested in supporting our works. And we need to take those first steps. And I think, yeah, you guys, yeah, I think I think it would be hard to put together everyone's CVs or artistic bios in a drum group. I think that maybe it's something that we can ask the Canada Council to change, is maybe there's just one profile for Northern Cree that has Northern Cree's performance history, and instead of having every member of Northern Cree having to put that together for, I think that seems to be the main challenge. Is that a challenge for you guys, Steve?
Well, with today's drum group, it probably isn't. But with the turnover in people within the circle, and then adding on the people that were there before who have either gone on with other drum groups or are doing other things, or have gone on to the spirit world, things like that. I think it would be a huge undertaking to if you were talking about like incorporating all of the people that have been a part of the drum group over the past 30 years and all of the recordings previously, because not all the faces are the same. It might be a huge undertaking, and I think like what you spoke about, Alan, would probably make it a little bit more accessible and convenient for drum groups if you could just put in like a history of the drum group and their accomplishments, their performances, etc. I think that would probably make it a lot more accessible, a lot more easy for individual drum groups to be able to do. But when you're talking about like putting everybody's CV in it, I think that might be a huge undertaking. Yeah, and it might deter some people, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. What about Black Bear? Does Black Bear have a Canada Council profile?
No, we don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, would it be hard to get all of the singers to put together their artistic bio, or would that be easy for you guys?
I don't know. I'd have to talk to them.
Yeah, I think
I'll mention it to them anyways.
I think for contemporary bands like rock bands and country bands, it's hard too, and they're more used to jumping through all these hoops. But again, having drum groups do that kind of admin work seems to be one of the main challenges. What about you, Delina? Do you think it would be easy for Young Bear, or I forget, the Young Spirit, to put that stuff together?
I think it wouldn't be. We're pretty connected when we have to be. The guys, Jacob has a good whip. Just kidding. No. But he has a way of like letting us know this is very important, needs to be done. He would let us know. And I think a lot of the guys would be able to do that for themselves. But I think you'd have to put a lot of timelines, letting them know what is important to put out and why it's important to do. But I think it would be all right to organize. And I think if they understood why, they would have more reason to do so. But I think it's important to do something like that. And I think it would be easier though, just to be able to just do the group like you're saying prior. It would just be easier to do the group rather than every individual. But that's just if it's in a group. So.
Yeah, definitely. I was also going to ask, we have one question here from Mr. Perfect in the chat, but I want to ask a follow-up question first. And how far in advance do you get like the host drum requests and the host drum agreements? Because I think that's one of the main pieces that you need for a travel grant is getting that performance contract or that agreement or even that email that says we're going to get Black Bear as our host drum. We're going to pay them $10,000, $20,000. How far in advance do you usually get those offers? Maybe we'll start with Kimberly.
Sorry. Most requests are 6 to 12 months ahead of time.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Is that the same for Northern Cree, Steve?
Yeah, I would agree with Kimberly. Today, like our schedule is already set for 2021. We're like booking like about a year in advance when we're setting up like our season for the following year. And we'll have like a couple of weekends that we leave unbooked just so that we can do something else in that. But usually like about a year for the summer. The summer schedule it books up pretty fast.
Yeah, so that's pretty awesome because like what I can also see is that you would fit into the Arts Abroad or Arts Across Canada program at the Canada Council too, which is their touring program. And so if you have like a set of like, maybe you're hosting 6 to 8 powwows next summer, that's a tour. And you can get a tour grant from the Canada Council for that one as well. And so that would pay for your flights, for your, it could be accommodations and per diems. It could be the ground transportation. It could be your booking agent fees. Like it'll be a part of it. It won't be all of the money, but it'll be a good chunk of money. And so that's just one application as opposed to like a bunch of little applications for the travel grant. So I think like if the powwows are booking you guys 6 to 12 months in advance, that's a great opportunity because not even like the contemporary Indigenous artists that I'm working with, they're getting booked like maybe 5 months in advance, 4 months in advance, and sometimes even 3 or 2. And so if you guys are getting 6 to 12 months, that's awesome. And yeah, I think there's a great business opportunity here for a manager or a booking agent to really get on board and help each of you with the business side. Steve, you had a question?
Yeah, question. So with this grant, like say a group has an opportunity to go to a different country and they've been booked like a year in advance. Could you tap into these grants? Like usually like this past year, like we had a couple of bookings that were going out of the country. One was going to go to Australia for 10 days and another one was going to Colombia. They were stage presentations, but I'm wondering when you talk about these grants, because the companies that were inviting us, they're covering like all of the cost, the flights, the meals, the hotel, and the performance fee. Does that still allow us to tap into the grants?
Well, I think like, yeah, you would have to, what you could do and what I've done as a presenter at times is if we do have the money for the flights and accommodations and the artists is confident that they can apply for a travel grant, we'll just put that money that we had for flights and accommodations into their performance fee. And so let's say the performance fee was like $10,000 and we had another $7,000 for flights and accommodations, then the performance fee just becomes $17,000. So that's one of the, like I said earlier, everything in the music industry is negotiable, or you can negotiate everything. I don't know if negotiable is a real word, but yeah, I think that's what you could actually go back to those folks in Colombia and say, you know what, this is, we're going to apply for a travel grant. And the other important thing that you can do with those presenters in other countries is ask for a 50% deposit as well. And so you could say, again, if it was $17,000, you could ask them for $8,500 up front as the deposit. And usually that just sits in a trust and it's not spent. So in case that you do have to cancel, the money goes back to the presenter oftentimes. So I do have a question for Mr. Perfect. It's about trademarking your artist and stage name. And that's something that actually I'm going to ask him to hold off on for our panel discussion on Friday, which is with contemporary artists working in Canada. And so we'll definitely table that for the future, because I think, yeah, today, I don't think we're going to get into trademarking and that kind of stuff. I think our copyrights are a little different, but trademarking, again, is another important process and something that's important to get, at least I think it would be important to get lawyers involved with. But yeah, I think again, the grants, it's a lot of work though. And honestly, I do some grant writing for folks, and the project administration can be a lot of work. Filling out all the forms can be a lot of work. And so again, I think that's where you can potentially start to look at, or if you're interested in looking at managers, bringing a manager on board. Steve, do you have another? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, sorry, Alan. You know, I'm going to talk about that trademark a little bit. Okay.
Sure, yeah.
But like we've been looking at that for a bit. I'm going to tell you, like, if you have like a group and you have a logo of some kind, and it's getting out there, you have stuff online, etc. I would say trademark like that logo, because if you do not, somebody else is going to pick it up, and no matter if you're selling your item and then you try to go back, they already have your trademark. It's something that all of us, if you're doing that, like you're making t-shirts, ball caps, anything that your drum group is producing, I would say get that label, that logo trademarked right now, because I seen it already just doing stuff online with Northern Cree. I tried to buy a URL with Northern Cree on it, just www.northerncree.com. Somebody bought that up, and it was somebody that I wasn't even using it. Then they wanted like X amount of dollars just for that URL. I'm going to tell you, like, if you have a trademark, if you have a name and you're making t-shirts, logos, or anything, trademark it right away. Don't wait. Okay. Thank you.
That's good advice. We have a question coming in from Allie Stony Point. How do women who are traditional artists, both as a drum group and solo artists, get their music past a local presence? Is this something, maybe, Fawn, do you want to tackle this? How have you done it? How have you made yourself more than like a Treaty 7 artist?
Oh man, I don't even know where to start with that. I think with the collaborations and the kind of avenue I went with Canyon Records was I really wanted to make it so that anybody could listen to it. But I also wanted to keep the essence of what the music that I do. I wanted to stay true to that. I guess it's just kind of leaving yourself open to different opportunities and different things, but also ahead of time, I wanted to think of what it was that I wanted to do. And a big part of it was getting music from our area out and kind of having it be exposed in different places. I guess it's just, you have to kind of ask yourself, set those goals for yourself, and also really give it good thought what it is you want to do with your music, whatever style you're doing, and just kind of, hold on a second. Yeah, just give it really good thought what you want to do, how you want to share it, and how and what you're willing to kind of allow your music to evolve to, I guess. Just stay true to yourself as an artist, stay true to your music and what it is you want to share. I've been very fortunate with this. In the beginning, I just really wanted to share voice and give that female perspective in this kind of genre, and also just wanted to get our music from our area out, and we've been very fortunate with some amazing pioneers in this genre to help that happen, make it happen. Sorry about that, I'm a little bit but yeah, I think you just really set some goals for yourself. If you want to get your music out of your local area, envision that and think of ways that you can do to help that with but still keeping true to yourself as an artist.
I also noticed you got some new promotional photos done. As a presenter with the festival, that's super important to us to have great photos that we can use to market you to our audience. And so I think that was an incredible step. And I also wanted to ask, like, I saw that the virtual round dance had close to 2,500 people tuning in at any given time in the beginning of the pandemic. How did you get to that point? Like, just to be able to bring that many people together and engage 2,500 people to actually watch. How did you do that?
Yeah. It was, I think at a time when the stay-at-home order was in place, a lot of people, especially our Indigenous people, when we're in a trying time like that, we usually turn to our culture and to our music and to our practice, our way of life. And with that, I think when we stumbled upon this opportunity to bring the virtual round dance, we just really wanted to connect people with that music again at a time when we were feeling so disconnected from each other. We wanted everybody to feel like we're all here for each other. And also just letting people know who we were going to get to come share music ahead of time, promoting it ahead of time. And that helped a lot. But we were just really fortunate at those times, it was, and we're still going, and it's turned into something pretty, a really awesome opportunity. I'm really happy to be a part of.
Definitely. I think there's a lot more to learn from you in that virtual round dance experience, because again, it brought so many people together. But we're kind of running out of time here. Do each of you want to maybe say some closing remarks, or any thoughts that you want to add before we sign off? Maybe Kimberly, is there anything?
I wish that I had been able to answer more in detail, but like I said, we're learning as we go. We can look into all the licenses, grants. This is really valuable information, not just for Black Bear, but for all groups. Rich.
Rich. Delina, do you have anything to add?
I think to answer part of that question too, I was going to say utilizing social media platforms to promote yourself and your group. I think one good thing about the virtual round dance was being so closely, or having a large connection base to fans and viewers through Snapchat even, or Instagram, Facebook, all these different platforms where you could promote yourself, promote what you're doing. Maybe you're working on an album, you could promote that. You can promote when it's released. There's a lot you could do with these platforms, and just breaking that barrier to push yourself to do it. You just need to put yourself out there, and we're so lucky to have social media today to use. And then it could reach out to farther connections, making those connections with people who work at radio stations or different media platforms. I think it's good to make those friendships and those connections for yourself. The more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get doing it. So I feel like I learned a lot here today. This is, like she said, really valuable information. I think if you're going to be a single performing artist or as a group, it's so good to know this. Like, there's a lot of information I'm going to be taking away today. So I just want to thank everyone for sharing it and for the invite again. This is really good topic of discussion, and I'm just really thankful we all were able to be here today. So thank you.
Oh, Fawn, any last closing remarks?
I'm really thankful for this opportunity today. I really believe this is a good start, especially to bring awareness to all of our traditional artists out there, round dancer, powwow musicians, that there's these other avenues that we should look into. The best way to educate is just by bringing awareness. And I want to encourage everybody, don't be afraid to ask questions or reach out to people about more information about all of this when it comes to sharing our music and having other people bring it to different platforms and different stages and different genres outside of our own. It's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to inquire about things. I just want to say thank you guys for having me today and letting me be a part of this discussion. I'm honored, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day and tune into the other panels. Hi.
Oh, Steve.
I first want to thank you, Ellen, for setting this up, and I want to thank the other panelists for their informative information. I think going forward, this is a start and a great start, because I think we should have more discussions like this going forward on social media, on whatever avenues we can use. I believe like we're going in the right direction about what I had spoke about before, about creating opportunities for our future generations in our own genre of music. And I think like, you know, there's so much to be talked about, and there was so much information. I got a lot of information off of this. I have so much to say, and I don't know how to put it out there in a proper manner. I want to see more of this. I want to see like when I was sitting at home and I watched Delina and Jacob and them on the red carpet. That gave me a powerful feeling here to see our other people on that carpet. And I believe that we need that there, not just there, but at the Junos, every time with our music. This music, our music, has to be shown in those circles. And when I see that, I think we're making steps. I think we're moving forward. I think we're sharing something great that originated with our people. And it's something awesome to be shared with the rest of the world. It can bring healing. It can bring good spirits. It can pull people together. I mean, it does it for our people, all of our nations. It can do it for all other nations as well. And this is a really good start. And I want to thank all of those previous keepers of this way of life, this type of singing, this type of creating instruments. Those are the true heroes. And yeah, a little bit emotional because I feel that here. And I'm grateful that you guys shared this with me. And I want to see more of it. Thank you very much, Helen. You're ace, you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was really touching and moving and yeah, beautiful. I think like, again, this is a great first step, and we should definitely do this more. Like I go to powwows and I see all of you around these drums, and you're rock stars. And there's so many people that looked up to you, and I'm very honored to be here with you all today. So again, thank you all for your time. Thank you all for contributing, and I look forward to seeing you in our interviews, which are set for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week. Just want to encourage everyone to go to sakihiwē.ca. The schedule is there. And yeah, we're going to have more time with each of these folks in the upcoming days. But we're going to sign off. And again, thank you all for your time today.